Have you ever wanted something so bad, and then it actually happens? But it's not as great as you imagined it.
Kamala, I don't know what's going on with you.
She thinks I'm some kind of weirdo.
You are a weirdo.
Just know, whatever you are facing, you don't have to do it alone.
Cosmic.
Welcome back, everyone. Marvel just dropped a brand new Ms. Marvel trailer. We'll break it down. I'll explain how it's connected to what we just saw in Doctor Strange 2, because we just finally saw the Inhumans in the MCU, but it's way more connected to what's going on in the MCU with Secret Invasion, Nick Fury, the Kree-Skrull War, like the whole Secret Invasion of it all, as well as the Marvels movie. So I'll explain how it's all going to work. There's a bunch of Easter eggs. If you're brand new to the channel, I'll be doing videos for all the episodes. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. There'll only be 6 episodes, but it'll be starting right as I finish my Obi-Wan Kenobi episode videos.
Got my shoes!
But the big thing with Ms. Marvel in the MCU is that they've changed her backstory. She used to be an Inhuman. In the comics, she was doused with this giant Terrigen bomb that Thanos set off in New York City. Attilan, the Inhuman city, was located in New York at this time. But so far in the MCU, up to Doctor Strange 2, we hadn't really done a lot of Inhuman stuff. There was that Inhumans TV show, which people try to argue is canon, but Kevin Feige and the Marvel Studios people, who didn't have any kind of hand in making it, treated it like the redheaded stepchild, like you inherited this, now you have to acknowledge it in some way. Recently in Doctor Strange 2, they finally did that, bringing Anson Mount back as a version of Black Bolt. It was a different version from the Inhumans TV series. It was a little more comic book accurate. His costume was a little closer to the comics. They killed their version of Thanos, but the real trick is that we got to see Black Bolt use his ability to kill their version of Doctor Strange, but it was all part of that storyline trying to say that Doctor Strange could theoretically be one of the worst possible things to happen to the multiverse if he went the wrong way. All the Illuminati scenes were meant to be these fun cameos from a bunch of different groups in the comics like Fantastic Four, X-Men, obviously Captain Carter from the What If series, but it was more there for the cautionary tale to show how far they could go if they went off the rails, like Wanda completely rolling over all of those characters. But now if there was any question, Inhumans are technically canon to the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse, so if we have Inhumans, why aren't they doing Ms. Marvel as an Inhuman? There's a very businessy explanation for that. We were supposed to get an Inhumans movie a long time ago, but that wasn't really Kevin Feige's choice to make an Inhumans movie. It was put on the schedule when it was still Ike Perlmutter kind of calling the shots at Marvel. It was meant to be his big thing. That's why it wound up being a TV series. Kevin Feige took it off the schedule when that happened. So then we got a version of Captain Marvel, we got a version of Monica Rambeau during WandaVision. They're building up this big Kree-Skrull war in interstellar space in a slightly different part of space, but it's still in the same galaxy. So much of Ms. Marvel's character is connected to the Captain Marvel Carol Danvers character in her related universe of characters that they wanted to do that in the MCU. So rather than do like a whole bunch of other projects explaining who the Inhumans are and kind of setting their group up, like you would have had to do 3 or 4 more TV shows and another movie, what it seems like they've done is just explain that Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel, is just a regular person who gets a version of the Negabands, which is what the original Captain Marvel named Mar-Vell wound up using in the comics. They did a version of Mar-Vell in the MCU during the original Captain Marvel movie, but it was played by Annette Bening, so it was a big twist on the character, and the backstory was a little bit different too. So even though they're changing how her powers work, they're trying to make them look kind of like the comic book powers and going back to the original Captain Marvel comics to do it. But they're trying to set up this big space saga that's going on inside the MCU. Like Guardians of the Galaxy right now is our big space-based movie in the MCU. They're trying to do more of those. There's actually talk of them doing a Nova Disney Plus series right now too. They haven't said which version of Nova it's going to be, but you can see they're just trying to do more space-based Disney Plus series, more space-based movies that are not Guardians of the Galaxy. You probably heard that they just shifted the release dates of some of the Marvel Phase 4 movies next year. What happened is that Ant-Man 3 Quantumania, with them going up against a legit version of Kang the Conqueror from the comics, the one we saw at the end of Loki Season 1, that's happening in February now, and it switched places with the Marvels movie Captain Marvel 2, which is coming out in November. The reason why they shifted Captain Marvel 2 to the end of the year is because they want the Secret Invasion TV series, which is teasing this big Kree-Skrull war and Secret Invasion from the comics, before Captain Marvel 2 to help lead up to what's happening during that movie. Everything is connected, so now you see like Ms. Marvel is sort of feeding into the Secret Invasion series a little bit with what's going on with Nick Fury and the Skrulls, and then that's going to lead into Captain Marvel 2. That's why when people ask Kevin Feige what's going on with Ms. Marvel's powers, why do they look so different, he says they're trying to make their powers come from a similar source and look relatively similar during Captain Marvel 2, even though the nature of their powers is quite a bit different. So Captain Marvel is more like this cosmic battery, like she can just absorb and redirect energy, We've never really seen the upper limit of that. I think they'll go full binary with her character during Captain Marvel 2. They got close during the first Captain Marvel movie. Even though Monica Rambeau's powers look a little bit similar, she can also absorb energy and redirect it. It's a little bit different for her. She can absorb, recreate, and become any kind of energy that she's capable of understanding. It's one of the reasons in the comics she could theoretically be invincible, like she could become as powerful as the Infinity Stones because they give off a certain kind of energy, as long as she could fully understand the Infinity Stone energy, which is so complex that it's highly unlikely. That's why during WandaVision you see her going up against Wanda absorbing her chaos magic, which is a really big deal. People like Ghost Rider can also eat magical spells, so I know people are like, does that mean that Ghost Rider could also eat chaos magic? Probably. And now we have Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, that seems like she's using the Negabands, which somehow wound up in her family. They were created by the Kree. They basically turn mental energy into physical energy, which is why a lot of her abilities in the trailer seem like her comic book abilities. We make all the Simpsons jokes because she says embiggen. Her inhuman powers in the comics make it seem like she just enlarges parts of her body or her entire self when she's fighting people. But the really scientific explanation for her powers that they use is that she's actually pulling energy from her future self through time to power herself up in the past. Like she's borrowing energy from the future from herself. The Negabands that she's wearing on the show, obviously, much simpler explanation. The big thing with Nick Fury is that he's actually trying to prevent a full-scale secret invasion situation from the comics. That's why in the comics the whole idea was, who do you trust? And it was like every single Avenger could theoretically be a Skrull in disguise. During the Secret Invasion series, it sounds like it's going to be a different sect of the Skrulls, like these religious zealots that are trying to pull off a smaller version of Secret Invasion, and it seems like Emilia Clarke is actually playing a version of the Skrull Empress. So you have this Kree-Skrull war, different sides, both sort of building up to a larger conflict, trying to use Earth as this outpost. That's where Secret Invasion comes in. And it sounds like that starts to spill over the top during the Captain Marvel 2 movie. She probably winds up landing on Nick Fury's radar, because it seems like there are a couple antagonist groups on the series, and one of them is more connected to the US government than the other. This just seems like a regular evil supervillain group amongst many inside the MCU trying to take her Negabands to use their power for her own. This group with all the tactical suits and the guns seems like it's connected to the government. One of the villain groups is called NICE, N-I-C-E. They're meant to be like Marvel's version of ICE, but for superheroes. It sounds like all this trouble happening in Jersey City will land her on Nick Fury's radar, and then he'll realize what's going on with her wielding this Kree artifact. And that'll sort of dovetail her plot with what's happening in Secret Invasion and then obviously during the Captain Marvel 2 movie. Most of the Monica Rambeau teaser at the end of WandaVision was meant to dovetail with the Marvels movie Captain Marvel 2. It wasn't meant to be a big Secret Invasion teaser, even though that is happening before Captain Marvel 2.
He'd like to meet with you. Where?
Right now, I'm not expecting Kamala Khan or Monica Rambeau to show up during Secret Invasion unless it's some sort of post-credit scene just teasing its connection to the next big movie. Most of the other Miss Marvel stuff is dedicated to establishing her character so that you understand why she becomes a part of whatever this Young Avengers team winds up being in the MCU. Now, Miss Marvel was not a member of the Young Avengers in the comics. There'll be a couple changes, but mostly they're introducing the core roster through all these different Disney Plus series and movies. Like, we just got done seeing America Chavez during Doctor Strange 2, but she wasn't a member of that original roster. But basically, we have Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, from the Hawkeye series. We have a version of Patriot from the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, if they want to bring him back. He was Isaiah Bradley's grandson. He gets a measure of the super strength basically passed along genetically from Isaiah Bradley's super soldier serum. We had a version of Kid Loki show up during the Loki series. They could always bring him back for Young Avengers. Obviously, we just saw a version of Billy and Tommy. We have a multiverse now, so depending on which version you think would show up, Billy and Tommy from the comics, which are part of that original roster. They could introduce a version of Hulkling during the Secret Invasion series, but they don't necessarily have to. And they could always do a version of Iron Lad if they want to as a young version of Kang, because we're going to see many different variants of Kang in the MCU, because it sounds like he's going to be our big figure heading into Secret Wars. The whole idea of the Kang Multiverse War is that it's connected to the Incursions, different universes fighting with each other. Technically, I mean, they're colliding, but they're kind of fighting with each other because of the Kang Multiverse War. They could either do Iron Lad from the comics, who was a young version of Kang earlier in his timeline, or they could just put Riri Williams Ironheart on the team. There have been a lot of theories that maybe she could be a female gender-bent version of young Kang, but I'm not expecting that. That would be a huge twist. It would be pretty cool, but I'm not expecting it. Then in Ant-Man 3, we have the new recast version of Cassie Lang, who is Stature in the Young Avengers. One of the other reasons for them swapping the Marvel Phase 4 movies so we get Ant-Man 3 in the version of Kang the Conqueror a little bit faster is because so much of this is spinning up with the Incursions and Secret Wars. They just want to get to that a little bit faster just to tease the connections like, oh, this is what this is all leading to. This is the person who's all behind this. We'll get more trailers with some more footage for Ms. Marvel as we get a little bit closer. My Obi-Wan Kenobi episode videos will start in a couple weeks though, so make sure you have alerts enabled for my channel so you don't miss those. Everyone click here for all my Doctor Strange 2 post-credit scene video, Avengers 5, Secret Invasion teaser videos, and click here for my brand new Obi-Wan Kenobi Darth Vader trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.